What's happening, PricePlow Nation and Primeval Labs fans worldwide? This is Mike Roberto, founder and CEO of PricePlow, your supplement news, reviews, and interviews and ingredient explanations channel and website where we can save you money on all these great supplements such as Primeval Labs' Mega Pre Black. Now, I'm in the midst of doing my Primeval Labs Mega Pre Black review here, and I started talking about ingredients as I am one to do, and it got long. So we are doing a separate video right here where I'm talking about the ingredients. Now, this is not a review. This is simply me going on about why I like this supplement. In general, though, what you're gonna see is that they are hitting every angle that I like to hit. And I said this in the review. I was like, if you told me to go and make a supplement without any exotic stimulants like DMHA or DMAA, this is like super, super close to what I would have made. And I've been nothing but impressed about it. And the reason I am stoked about using it is because I came in a little bit flat today, like really flat. And I was like, dude, I got to call on the pump company to bring it home. So check out the review. Long story short, the Island Candy cocktail flavor was my favorite. I'm a huge fan. Now, regarding these ingredients, because we're hitting all these angles, you got nitric oxide playing offense and defense. You got focus, choline, offense and defense. You have an extra stimulant in Dynamine, but it's not really a stimulant, it's a neuromodulator. We'll talk about that. And then you have some of the bonus stimulants like NMT, N-methyltyramine, and hordenine, and it goes on and on. So, and then of course, big doses of caffeine. So you gotta adjust your dose properly. Now let's get into where I'm talking about the ingredients, and then we'll come back and close out.
Welcome to PricePlow.
So, Primeval Labs chose to go in the non-DMHA direction and all that a long time ago. And it seems to be really working out for them because they're now in Muscle and Strength, they're gonna be in bodybuilding.com, and they're probably gonna be elsewhere. So they're doing great things. The issue is, what do we do to make ourselves different? I'm speaking from from their point of view at this point, and they didn't tell me all this, but what do you do to be different if you don't want all those DMHAs and all that crazy stuff? You want to be in, for instance, a Muscle and Strength or bodybuilding.com, and Compound Solutions has the answer in teacrine and Dynamine. Well, Dynamine is good. We noticed we had fun with 100 milligrams. Well, Primeval Labs is like, 2 scoops are getting 130 milligrams, but that brings on a huge dose. Now, teacrine is horrendous tasting. Dynamine is just bad tasting. So I think so you have this tasteless version of it, and it's covered up, and that's sold by Compound Solutions, and you get 40% yield. Anyway, what Dynamine is like, it's a neuromodulator that kind of gives you this like cognitive tickle, and it feels good, and I think it's a great training supplement in the higher doses. So 1.5 scoop, which is where I like to land my caffeine. 1.5 scoop this, I'm getting about, a little bit less than 100 milligrams. I'm just feeling good, but there's no dopamine dump. There's no like, whoa, there's no euphoric, like godlike feeling or anything crazy like that, and there's no letdown at all either. And that's what was enjoyable, is this pre-workout just kicks it and kicks it and kicks it. And all these different angles. So the Dynamine was the choice, and that's why I'm talking about the flavor, because it does add a little bit of the flavor. So if you notice a little something extra in that flavoring and it's in the back of your tongue, you know what? Honestly, I think it's worth it. And that's my call right there. Regarding everything else now, we gotta start with the pumps. Nitric oxide part, you got L-citrulline, 3 grams in 1 scoop, 6 grams in 2 scoops, and that's kind of why we're doing this review here today. So yes, on keto, I don't always like L-citrulline because it is a bit of a glucogenic amino acid. Today I need that. Beta-alanine, 1.6 grams in 1 scoop, 2 scoops gives you 3.2 grams. Clinical dose, now typically the clinical dose really is for those studies are done spreading 3.2 grams across 4 times a day. Ain't nobody got time for that. They throw in 3.2 grams. If you 2 scoop this, you're probably gonna get the tingles. It's not a dangerous effect or nothing. It's called paresthesia. And so beta-alanine gives you the endurance effect by allowing your body to build more carnosine. If you're getting enough diet, you got the histidine from your amino acid blend, EAA max can be in one of them, and then that allows you to build more carnosine stores, which helps you flush out the lactic acid and all the different acids in your muscles, and gives you a little bit of extra boost in the 1 to 4 minute ranges. So people who are doing like that kind of exercise, you're gonna probably want to look into beta-alanine at least. Now here's where I get really interested though. Betaine, anhydrous, 2 scoops, you get 3 grams above the clinical dose for both guys and girls at this point. So we have So 2.5 grams of the clinical, you can probably have less than 2 scoops like I do and still get very, very, very close to the clinical dose, which is the 2.5. So we have 3 in the full 2 scoops. This is an osmolyte that helps with water transfer among cells, and there's some relation to the way creatine works. It is a safe and natural muscle builder. It's found in spinach. This is why Popeye was always getting pumped up. And I think when you take a pre-workout, when you take 3 grams pre-workout, you get the good cell hydration that we sometimes talk about with taurine, that we sometimes talk about with glycerol. Now, on that end of things, there is no glycerol, like I said, in the supplement like there used to be with Megapre, or that there still is a Megapre. And I think that's a good thing because a lot of people like glycerol, and we do too, but it brings a little bit of drama. And I'm not talking about legal drama or FDA drama or any of that. It brings drama in the form of clumping. None of that problem is going to happen here. So glycerol, I'm a little bit feisty with it. It gives that chalky taste. It would just throw this whole thing off a little bit. I'm fine with the glycerol being removed. It's more of like a sugar alcohol anyway. And so if I'm going to take my little blood sugar spike, give me the citrulline. Anyway, then I got the methylliberine/dynamine, which is way good dose, and I'm having a good old time here. Caffeine, we talked about 375 milligrams total. 325 of that is the caffeine anhydrous. Then you have L-norvaline. Now that is the defensive side. You got citrulline playing offense, converting to arginine, which is giving you more nitric oxide, which is then giving you the vasodilation, lowering the blood pressure just a little bit, and giving you more blood flow, nutrient delivery, possibly even a little bit of extra glucose disposal, getting that those cells satisfied with extra blood flow. Well, you have an enzyme known as arginase that's going to break down that arginine over time, and that's a good thing. You got to have these processes happen, but when we're working out, we'd rather not have it happen too much, and that's what L-norvaline does. It actually inhibits the enzyme that degrades the arginine. So we're playing defense right here. Credit to CJ for coming up with the offense and defense thing, by the way. So then after that, we have ElevATP, ancient peat apple extract. What? Okay, so ATP, when you're talking about the cells in your body needing energy, your body's cells don't give a shit about carbohydrates or fat cell or whatever. Your cells work on a different energy currency, and that's known as ATP. So if you supplement ElevATP, these ATP-like supplements, then you actually can get an uptake in ATP levels, and that can increase strength. This is an ingredient sold by Futureceuticals, and it's a little bit less expensive than the competitors, but it has a good study behind it showing increased ATP levels. Creatine is also involved in this process. And I mentioned that because there is no creatine in here. Primeval Labs has the PrimATP formula, and it's a really good creatine formula. It has 5 grams of creatine anhydrous and the ElevATP here. So a boost of ATP in 2 different ways over there. Anyway, so we're boosting ATP and we're giving our cells what they need to get the job done while you're training. Now, if you take that stuff when you're not training, the benefits might not be as important. Depends on what you're doing. But overall, when training, you want ATP. This is a way to get it, and they show that it eventually yields strength increases. Really cool. After that, dicaffeine malate, we talked about that. That's a little bit of a slower lasting caffeine to round out the energy curve because the caffeine anhydrous and the dynamine are both faster acting. The slower one is the Infinergy, and then we don't have an AT in here. That's also the slower version of dynamine. I'm fine with that. Otherwise, it might not taste as good. Then we have, in 2 scoops, 50 milligrams of NMT, N-methyltyramine, which is one of those beta-2 agonists that gets you just a small little hit of like a norepinephrine fight or flight response, gets you motivated, gets you moving in the gym, gets you going.
It gets the people going.
And I'm a huge fan of these ingredients. I always talk about them. I read some study that people of my blood type do really well with that kind of stuff, so I'm gonna blame my parents. Well, anyway, so it's not too much though, and it's a legitimate ingredient. I think there's a study that showed it's like 1/139th the strength of adrenaline. So it's a pretty mild version of kicking up that fight or flight response a little bit, but it's fun, and so it hits another angle. You got the beta-2 angle here, and you have it with the next ingredient as well, which is hordenine. And so you have that you're hitting the beta-2 angle, you're hitting the neuromodular angle with the dynamine, you're hitting the standard stimulant angle with the caffeine. Everything is going well. Okay, so we were talking about the ingredients and we got broken up by a nearly dead battery. I decided to make this a separate video at that point in time. So one thing that I completely glossed over, and this is one of my favorite parts of the supplement, is a standard 2 grams of choline by tartrate in 2 scoops. I'm like probably the biggest choline fan on YouTube. There might be some like nootropic guy out there like choline more. I am all about choline lately. And I have a feeling that actually, I've done some genetic profiling, and I am sometimes I am very susceptible to choline depletion. And I think that's why. I eat eggs all the time. Egg yolks are, and don't give me that egg white nonsense. I'm talking about egg yolks. Egg yolks are great sources of choline. I want more, at least 1 gram per day. You get that in a scoop. 2 grams though, clinical benefits for women and weight loss. And the reason is that choline is able to help your body. So it gets broken down and it combines with a whole bunch of different things, and it involves in a lot of biological and metabolic processes in terms of fatty acid breakdown, fatty acid oxidation. But the most important reason that we like choline, and this stuff's really starting to kick in for me, man. I'm flying high. It's because choline allows your brain to produce more acetylcholine. That's known as the learning neurotransmitter. And this helps with all sorts of different cognitive issues and functions and things that get you focused. What we notice a lot when working out and training with choline is a bit more of the mind muscle contraction. I start to focus a little bit more on like the actual, bicep if you're doing the curl or whatever, and you kind of, I don't know, I feel more connected. I'm huge on choline. You're not going to find anyone on YouTube. I'm telling you, you're not going to find anyone on YouTube who likes choline more. And I'm starting to realize that I like the choline by tartrate in these high doses more than some of these more expensive fancy pants cholines at lower doses. That's just where I'm landing. This comes from anecdotal personal experience. Give me 2 grams of the cheap stuff and it's freaking good. And so I get really excited about choline. I think people are very choline depleted. And if you think about like a lot of the people who are having some brain fog issues, some depressive issues, some not looking so good issues, they don't eat eggs, they don't eat meat, they don't eat the things, I'm talking about vegans, they don't eat the things that have choline in them. You gotta have choline, you gotta have carnitine. Carnitine and creatine are the 2 things in here in this supplement that you gotta get elsewhere. That ATP supplement, great way to start all that. Anyway, huge fan of choline and very glad that they give you a full 2 gram dose of it. I can't stop talking about it, so I'll just have to leave it at that. Get you the focus, get you a little bit of the strength gains, although the strength gains are shown in a different form of choline, so I really can't cite that, but it seems that there's a connection there. Where was I? Finally, the last ingredient is Huperzine A, which is extracted from tooth club moss. Now this is the defensive side of the choline situation. So kind of cool that I left choline at the end, because now we're talking about preventing the breakdown of choline. So we get choline and then we get this acetylcholine molecule. So we got the choline and that helps us create more acetylcholine, and now we have the learning neurotransmitter. All sorts of good things are happening in the brain, a little bit more feel-good focus happening, but we have this son of a bitch known as acetylcholinesterase who's breaking down our acetylcholine. And we don't want to turn him off. You can't turn this stuff off, but we want to inhibit him. We want to turn down, play the defense, and that's what Huperzine A happens to do. So there's some really cool research on Huperzine A. It showed that supplementing it helped grow new brain neurons. So it's not even just like preventing breakdown of our kind of like right now our enemies, but it's also in creating some possible new growth. So it's really interesting stuff, and you need like a super smidge dose of this stuff. So we're getting 100 micrograms of it in 2 scoops. So that's on the medium end. We see 50 to sometimes 200 micrograms. Usually it's between 50 and 150 milligrams. And so right in the middle. I'm a huge fan of what they did here, because all the offense, defense. And the taste is great, minus that one flavor, which just isn't my favorite, because the Dynamine it's rough. Like Primeval Labs, they kind of like challenge themselves. They're like, listen, we're gonna make this supplement feel freaking good, and to do that, big choline, big Dynamine. But the choline, I don't think that's hard to flavor anymore. The Dynamine is, and they made it happen with the Island Candy cocktail flavor. Still good. So long story short, Primeval Labs did a great job. It took a little bit of time for them to come out with this supplement, and it was well awaited. I think maybe they're working on the flavoring, the Dynamine, all that. Well worth it. So PricePlow.com/Primeval Labs is where you can find out more. We'll have a link to the blog post. I admittedly do not cite sources in that post, so if everyone gets on my case, maybe we'll make that happen. But overall, they're doing everything, and it looks like in 2 scoops, a lot of times in 1 scoop, but in 2 scoops, you're getting above clinical doses for a lot of these ingredients. For citrulline, yes. Beta-alanine, clinical, yes. Betaine, above clinical. Choline, clinical. Dynamine, I don't know if there is a clinical, but this is like well above the average, well above the average. L-norvaline, above average. ElevATP, clinical. Dicaffeine malate and caffeine. Actually, at this point, if you 2 scoop it, depending on your size, you can make clinical references to studies that have shown strength increases at around that 400 milligram caffeine level. It's really between 5 to 6 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram of body weight. So if you are, let's say, 170 pounds or so, and you can handle 2 scoops of this, you might even be able to, you should get strength gains out of everything else in here, but the caffeine alone, clinical. We should be popping around those little clinicals around the... Anyway, hordenine, 50 milligrams. I don't know if that's a clinical kind of thing, but that is the standard dosage. You see 50 like all the time with that ingredient. And methyltyramine, 50 milligrams, same thing. I don't know if it's clinical, but that's the standard. And then Huperzine A, right within the regular range. So there's nothing that's been pixie dusted, bad dosed, or anything. If anything, I think the only thing that's been underdosed is a little bit of the Starburst flavor in my here pink Starburst. The other flavors is better, I'm telling you. All right, I'm going on forever. I got to close out this video, so PricePlow.com/Primeval-Labs. Yes, we are affiliated. Yes, you got to get the Island Candy cocktail flavor. Yes, I've been waiting for this one for a while, and I'm excited about it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the review on the other video because we're splitting them into 2. Thanks. We'll see you next time.
Welcome to PricePlow.